Welcome back to the Bullion World Cup. I'm your host, and if you thought the competition was fierce up to this point, you better hold on to your capsules, because today we're stepping into the historic heartland of global minting. The group stages have been an absolute battleground. In Asia, we had the Chinese panda, the Bhutan lunar rabbit, and the Korean phoenix set a massive bar. Up next, the Caribbean came swinging with the Cayman Marlin, Barbados Trident, and British Virgin Islands Pegasus. North America threw down an absolute heavyweight Royal Rumble between the Mexican Libertad, the American Silver Eagle, and the Canadian Thunderbird Maple. And last time, Africa brought pure power with the legendary South African Krugerrand, the Somali Elephant, and the Rwandan Lunar Dragon. The voting in the comments is still ablaze across all four regions, but there is still time to catch our breath. Today we are crossing the Atlantic for Group E, the European powerhouses. We are crisscrossing the globe to crown one ultimate champion across 7 elite territories, as we've talked about: Asia, the Caribbean, North America, Africa, Europe, which is today's arena, Australia and friends, and the Pacific Island nations. When it comes to Europe, we're looking at centuries of numismatic heritage, world-class precision minting, and iconic artistic traditions, from the grand halls of Vienna to the historic mints of Great Britain and continental Europe. This region boasts some of the most liquid, high purity, and recognizable 1-ounce bullion coins ever struck. Dozens of sovereign contenders entered the qualifying rounds, but after relentless evaluation, I have chosen these to step out into the pitch today. So the podium is set, the fine silver is gleaming under the stadium lights, and just like always, you hold the referee's whistle. I'm going to choose my top 3 favorites of these, put those on the line, but your votes in the comments will decide who takes the European crown and advances to the ultimate knockout bracket. Which European nation is taking the title home? Drop your votes, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next round, and let's reveal today's contenders. Let's start out here. And this is a unique one because though it might not be technically Europe, it is a protectorate of Europe, and it didn't have another place in our category. This is the British Arctic Territory, of course hosting a couple of emperor penguins. So there's a couple of nations here, or protectorates, that fall within Europe but have absolutely no other place geographically to call home. So we'll include them in this round. So there's one right there. Let's go next to a classic, a world classic. This is Armenia. If you don't know about this coin, oh, and by the way, all of my coins for the most part have very in-depth videos. So if you see one that you either have or would like to know more about, check out my catalog to learn more. But this is one of the world standards, the Ark of Armenia. Beautiful, beautiful coin here. Obviously we have the Dove of Peace. This is Noah's Ark. This is ancient biblical history right here, Old Testament. And if you look closely right there on Mount Ararat, we have the Ark sitting atop it. Very cool piece there, very classic piece, the Armenian Ark. Austria, that's next. Another world classic, one of the most recognizable bullion coins in the entire world. We have the Philharmonic Republik Österreich, right? Beautiful piece here. Obviously, we have the Viennese masters such as Haydn and Mozart coming from this area. A very recognizable world classic bullion coin. Notably, no reeded edge on these. Here's another one of my favorites, one of my first coins I ever purchased. This comes from the Channel Islands. You see the CI designation right there. And this is an island called Alderney. Of course, we have Queen Elizabeth here on the obverse. And check out the reverse. We have the North Atlantic puffin, one of my favorite birds. And this might be the only time I've ever seen a puffin on a bullion coin. Gorgeous piece here. It was my hope this would be brought into a series, but this is the only one I think I have seen Gorgeous, from the island of Alderney, which is a channel island between England and France. Let's go to the nation of Gibraltar next. Gibraltar has a really cool coat of arms. If you cannot tell, this is an antiqued. This comes from the Scottsdale Mint, but it is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece from Gibraltar. As you can see, we have Lady Justice right here. Blind, as we would always expect Justice to be. A gorgeous piece there, coming from the nation of Gibraltar. Let's go next to another protectorate area. This is the island of St. Helena. They have some very beautiful things, and in fact, many of these coins were minted by the East India Company, which I don't believe is a company anymore, unfortunately, because they went under last I heard, but they made amazing coins while they were around, this being no exception. So this falls under the European protectorates, obviously England. But if you don't know anything about this, this is the island where Napoleon was banished, escaped, and then banished again. Gorgeous coin here. And this is their guinea, and this coin is actually disqualified, but I wanted to show it to you anyway, because it is over 1 ounce. It's 1 1/4 ounce. But it's gorgeous nonetheless. So that is from St. Helena. Here's another one. A newer one, obviously, as we see King Charles. Beautiful piece here. And this is the Boston Tea Party, which is very interesting because this was struck, as you can see, here by this mint mark here, by the East India Company, which would have been the merchant vessels that carried the tea. So it's very interesting that here we have the company that brought the tea, minting the coin, that highlights the incident where they dumped the tea into the Boston Harbor. Very interesting there. Another from St. Helena, as you can see. Gorgeous. This is in their cash series. So if you don't know about European history, they used to have a little bit of control over the nation of India, which is where we get the word cash, and this happens to highlight in this series some fauna from that area. Gorgeous here. This is the lion-tailed macaque. And our last from St. Helena right here. This is coming from an older series. We have the Jody Clark version of Queen Elizabeth, and we have Hera. This was in their Goddesses series. Gorgeous piece here as the peacocks carry her across the sky. Amazing work that the East India Company did with their coinage. It is a shame to have them no longer making coins. All right, let's go next to Czech Republic. This is a gorgeous series from the Czech Republic. This is their lion, which is kind of their standard. A new artist for this coin. They had another artist for their lions years back, but I believe this is the first from their new artist, and it does not disappoint. Gorgeous piece here. As you note, it is issued by Niue, and there are some interesting things about that, but basically Niue has to mint on behalf of Czech Republic there. I don't remember the legal reason why. I'll have to go back and look at that. But as you can see, this one is kind of in a shade of gray. But seeing as we have 4,000 coins from Niue, I thought this one would represent the Czech Republic as it is supposed to be. Here's another one from the Czech Republic that highlights the amazing transition from the thaler to the dollar. Obviously, the Czechs believe that they invented the thaler, which is kind of the amazing coin that traveled the world and became the iconic standard, what we call the dollar today, whereas Austria believes they invented it. It's kind of like the French fry being invented by France and Belgium, and no one truly knows who the king was of the potato. But here we are. Beautiful piece again, and once again, because of the way that the monetary system is in the Czech Republic, Niue is the issuing nation, but it is a Czech Republic coin. Weird shade of gray there. And of course, the classic, I believe this is the first, possibly in the lion series. Another Czech lion right here. As you can see, it'll have the Czech Republic. But on the other side, you will see, once again, Niue right there. This one has the Montrovian eagle and the linden tree branch, of course, all symbols of that nation. Next, we will go to England, one of the most iconic nations when it comes to bullion. This one has been marred, unfortunately, but it is still an iconic image. We have St. George and the Dragon, one of the most legendary stories that is not uniquely English. We have this story going all over the Mediterranean. In a related story, same obverse here, once again from England, £2. And we have Beowulf and the Dragon. Very interesting parallels here. This is a Saxon story. If you remember the Anglo-Saxons, that's where this story hails from. Beautiful piece. Here we have the classic Britannia. This is the old version of the Britannia. You notice the background is blank and mirrored. We have Queen Elizabeth here, and one cool thing they used to do as a privy, this one happens to be Year of the Snake. Looky there, you can see, if my camera will focus, little snakes right here on the rim. So that is something they did as a privy back in the day. I don't think they have continued that, but I'm not positive. One of my favorites right here for the English ones, I absolutely love in the background. This is their royal coat of arms. One of my favorite of the English coins. Gorgeous piece there. Another from England, as some might know, they do their own lunar series, and one of these animals is very hard to make desirable, and I think this one did a very good job, and that is the rat. Hard to make a rat look desirable, but here we are in his native element, looking over his shoulder, I'm sure. It is a gorgeous rendition of this lunar animal. I'm a big fan of the lunar series. Here we have another, as you can see, Queen Elizabeth, and this is their Robin Hood series. They had Robin Hood, Little John, Maid Marian. Gorgeous. Gorgeous history there. Here is another of the iconic scene we've already seen in a more traditional variation. Another St. George and the Dragon. This one is the Valiant, is what they call this. The Valiant. Gorgeous piece here. And of course we have the classic new style of the Britannia. This one is a coronation version. You'll notice Charles has his crown. Really beautiful piece. And this is one of the most iconic and identifiable world bullion coins that we know of. Gorgeous Britannia. Absolutely love that. Alright, and I think next we'll go to the island of Malta. Check this out. I believe these are minted by the Pressburg Mint in Slovenia for the island of Malta. You notice the coat of arms here. This is the Bank of Malta. Absolutely gorgeous. One of the most historic little islands in the Mediterranean. The Maltese cross, of course, sits there, and the amount of detail is just spectacular. We turn it, and we have, in this case, the golden eagle and serpent. Very, very cool history here. If you know anything about biblical history, the serpent plays into Paul, who landed on that island as a prisoner of some centurions as he wanted to plead his case to Rome, as he had the right to as a former, or really not former, he's a Roman citizen. So they landed on the island of Malta. He got bit by a poisonous snake. He prayed and God healed him, and it created a pathway for many centurions right there with him to go, oh my gosh, this God thing is real. And then they eventually carried that message to their corners of the world after Paul went to Rome. Gorgeous piece here. Absolutely love this. Next we have the banner carrier. This is the standard of Malta. So you can see the Maltese cross as I hold it upside down. There we are. 4 nines fine silver, of course. And here we have a zoomed in version of that Bank of Malta coat of arms. Gorgeous piece. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, and lastly, we have the Netherlands. These are restrikes of ancient coins that helped their nation. If you don't know anything about the Netherlands, they were kind of a big deal when it came to trade with their navy. And this is a very old ducat. I believe this one is the lion. Yes, check that out. Absolutely love these restrikes because they look exactly like they did back then, with the exception of obviously the year and a couple of other small things. Gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Holding it upside down. Netherlands right here. Is that not just absolutely stunning? It looks like I'm looking 400 years in the past and in the future at the same time. It's just, quality is stellar on these things. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. One cool thing to note here on these coins from the Netherlands is the privy mark. Here we have a raven. Whatever the mint master chooses as his sigil gets to be put on the coins, and so that's a cool thing. The guy's last name, that's the mint master that created this coin, has raven in it, and so he obviously chose a raven as his coin. This is the Ducat Rider. Beautiful. And a recent video we did was this one right here. As you see the parrot kind of bending down the tree. This was a illegal coin, historically speaking, and a very, very rare one at that. But this denotes 4 sacks of sugar because this was for a area in the South Pacific that was a colony of the Netherlands. And so they had made this coin in order to create a currency down there for trade. Beautiful historic piece here. So now the task is at hand. I have to choose 3 of these coins to represent the might of Europe, and then you in the comments below get to tell me which of these 3 carries on and becomes the king of Europe that will then advance for another group. So the 3 that I have selected right here, Netherlands. We're going to choose the Ducat Rider. Gorgeous piece. So that's going to be 1. We're going to have the classic Britannia. Gotta have a classic in there, right? This is the coronation version, a very special issue of the Britannia. And for number 3, we're going to the small island nation of Malta. And we're going to choose the Golden Eagle. Beautiful piece. So those are going to be the 3 that represent the might of Europe. We have the Netherlands, we have England, we have Malta. I hope you enjoyed this video. Put your comments down below on who you think should advance. And until next time, please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.